yet signed the sign-up sheet after the presentation, I invite you to sign that sign-up sheet because I can email you documents and all the information that you need. He's adjusting the volume. Can you guys hear in the back? You can hear now? Okay, great. So again, if you have not yet signed up after this presentation, I invite you to come up to the front and sign your name. If you have an email, provide that, and then I can send you additional documentation that we talked about today so that you guys have that readily available. But taking notes is great too. All right, we ready? Okay. We'll get started. My name is Claire Beasley. I am director over a disaster assistance program at a nonprofit organization called SBP. SBP used to be called the St. Bernard Project. Used to be. We began during Katrina 15 years ago in the St. Bernard Parish of Louisiana as a rebuild program. We've since expounded and expanded our program not only across the United States, but different offerings. And so we decided to rebrand and shorten our name to SBP, not to be confused with the SBA. We are a nonprofit organization. Everything we provide is free. All resources, all training, all assistance is free. What I want to impress upon all of you is that throughout your recovery, the main thing you want to do is try to find free. Okay? It costs a lot of money to recover. You guys know this. You're experiencing it. So free is your best friend. And there are so many organizations out there that are willing to help. Even on my way in across the bridge, I was sandwiched between two Team Rubicon trucks. They're helping with mucking and gut, mold remediation, things like that, debris removal. So there are organizations here on this island who are providing free resources. When I send an email out to you, I will also provide you with some of those names of those free resources so that you can look those up and reach out if needed. All right? So let me just share just a little bit more about SBP. We started out as a rebuild program. We are still rebuilding. Right now, we are hoping to get enough funds from our grantors to allow us to help rebuild homes in Southwest Florida. So everyone keep your fingers crossed, send us good vibes so that we can be able to help you in your rebuild. We have a share program in which we've been blessed over the last 15 years through our grantors and through the knowledge that we've gained because we initially started partnering with Toyota. And Toyota taught us about the Toyota production system in which to maximize efforts without sacrificing value. And so we have since shared, this is part of what I'm doing, I'm sharing knowledge right now with you for free. And our share program also provides grassroots organizations with funding. So if you know of any grassroots organizations here on Sanibel who's doing a great job at helping survivors like yourselves, we can provide them with funds to assist people. We have a Prepare program which helps you as a survivor and government entities prepare for future disasters. We have an Advise program in which we advise government officials on the best efforts of recovery, on long-term versus short-term recovery. So right now, we still are in the short-term phase of recovery. We're still trying to remove a lot of debris right here, right? Soon we'll go into long-term recovery. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the average length of time it takes for a community to recover is about 8 years. Recovery is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And just note that throughout this marathon, there's going to be times when you want to give up, and I say do not give up, okay? You are your own best advocate, and it is you who can help make sure that you recover the way you deserve, right? Don't give up, there are resources out there for you. And lastly, we advocate. So not only are you your own best advocate, my organization helps survivors access additional funds through FEMA, or with FEMA, through appeals, and we can help you in that process. And if you don't know how to appeal, if it is very daunting, we do all the legwork for you, okay? And that's some of the things that I'll be speaking about today. As I speak, I really encourage questions. If you have a question, I guarantee you your neighbor has a question too. So please raise your hand, speak out. I will repeat the question and then answer it. So please ask questions. All right. The first thing I want to talk about is types of resources for recovery. If you have insurance, there are two types of insurance, homeowners versus flood. And I might be preaching to the choir here, but I'm just going to explain it. Homeowners insurance covers wind damage, fire, etc., etc. Flood insurance covers floods. Now, sometimes homeowners insurance covers water damage, right? And you're saying, well, my house got flooded. And your homeowner's insurance will say, well, is that from the top down or the bottom up? And you're like, I don't understand what you're saying. So if you had roof damage and the rains came in from the top, homeowner's insurance can cover that water damage, right? Even though you have 2 inches of water in your home because the roof, was open, homeowner's insurance can cover that. Now, if you had water seeping into your home from the ground up, that will be flood insurance, okay? So you have insurance that you can rely on. You have FEMA that you can rely on. You have the SBA that you can rely on. But who was here first in this disaster? The government wasn't here. You guys were here first. You were helping each other, right? You were the ones making sure everyone was safe. It is community organizations that are going to be here to support you for the short term and the long term. Eventually FEMA is going to leave. SBA is going to leave. You guys are still going to be here. So rely on each other. And if there's any type of, free, again, I can't state this enough, free volunteerism. If you're good at one thing and you can help your neighbor with that, please help each other because, again, it's going to take a while. Additionally, if you have a mortgage, if you have major loans, if you have credit card bills that you haven't paid off yet, contact your lenders. See if they have any type of forbearance program. Tell them that you were affected by Ian and right now your main focus is your recovery. And if they have forbearance programs, that could help. Fannie Mae is also a great resource. Fannie Mae has nonprofit wing to it, which can really help you maximize your funding, especially if you have a mortgage, and they can help make sure that you can cover your needs. Definitely reach out to the city of Sanibel. Definitely reach out to Lee County and see what programs they have available. Let's say you have insurance, right? And your deductible is pretty high. FEMA unfortunately does not cover the deductible for the insurance, right? But the city of Sanibel or Lee County might have programs which can help cover that deductible. You won't know until you ask. So I highly recommend you ask. Questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the homeowner's insurance is going to cover roof down. You're gonna hear a lot of personal stories today, but mine is, I got zero for my homeowner's insurance. No surprise to people in the room, because they don't cover that if it's a disaster. So should I go back to them and say that, quote you and say that they should have money?
Okay, so the question was, I stated that homeowners insurance can help with roof damage and, any water damage caused by roof and whatnot. Can is the operative word here. Can, not should, can. So unfortunately, insurance companies can be very sneaky. And they can state in fine print, we will not help with hurricane damage. We will not help you with your lanai. It's extra for this, it's extra for that. But your adjuster, when you talk to them, doesn't state this, and you're trying to just get insurance for your mortgage. You don't think, I need to think about these things, because you trust that they're gonna tell you, right? So unfortunately, if your insurance company has this fine print, the can is a won't, right? So the can of they can help you will be they won't help you, because they put in their fine print. Now, if there is no fine print and your insurance company is denying you, if your insurance company is not getting back to you, if your insurance company lowballed you, you definitely go back to them and you say, I'm not going to settle until I am satisfied. And there are nonprofit organizations, disaster legal aid. They are pro bono attorneys, completely free, and they are willing to advocate on your behalf. There are a few different disaster legal aid organizations in Florida. One is Bay Area Legal Services. Others is called Advocate, Florida's insurance consumer. They can help you advocate on behalf of, or they can advocate on your behalf for additional insurance coverage. If you have signed up, I will have a whole list of different disaster legal aid organizations that can help you in your advocacy efforts for that insurance. You've paid into insurance, you want to make sure you get as much as you can from insurance. So unless there is that fine print, definitely try to get the maximum amount from insurance. FEMA provides up to $37,900 for home repairs. Not a lot of money, is it? I mean, if your roof's been damaged, that alone will cost you up to $20,000, right? So if your insurance coverage if you have a policy that they can pay you up to $100,000, right? You want to try to maximize that. You don't want to have to rely on FEMA, because FEMA's not going to give you everything to bring your home back to the pre-disaster condition. What FEMA is going to do is they're going to provide you with enough funds to make your home safe, sanitary, and functional. Safe, sanitary, and functional. That means your doors could be fixed, you've got some flooring, maybe some drywall, get some cabinets back inside your kitchen, things like that, right? But insurance can help you bring that home back to the pre-disaster condition. Yes, sir. Follow-up question?
Could you just repeat what you said about FEMA? What is that program that they will help you repair? I haven't seen that anywhere so far.
So, with FEMA?
With FEMA, yeah.
So the question was if I could repeat what I just said about FEMA. And I'm going to go into really fine detail on this in just a second. but FEMA can provide you up to $37,900 for home repair. $37,900. If you have insurance and you were awarded, or the insurance company gave you anything less than $37,900, and your damages exceed what your insurance has provided you, you can appeal to FEMA for additional funds. So for instance, let's say your insurance company gave you $20,000, okay? But your damages are $50,000 to your home. You can go to FEMA through an appeal, show them what your insurance company has provided you, show them contractor estimates stating the damages exceed what your insurance company provided you, and FEMA could provide you $17,900 to maximize that $37,900 threshold. Let me explain this really quick. So, FEMA, insurance companies, and the Small Business Administration, SBA, they partner together in assisting survivors through their recovery. So they like to make sure they avoid duplication of benefits, right? So if your insurance company gives you $20,000, FEMA's not going to duplicate that benefit. So if you have $50,000 worth of damage to your home, your insurance company only gives you the $20,000, FEMA could give you up to that $17,900 to maximize the FEMA's total award amount of $37,900. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if insurance provides more than the $37,900, then FEMA's out of it.
So if insurance provides more than the $37,900 for home repairs, then FEMA's out of that. Is that correct? Okay, great question. Multiple answers here. So if you have home repairs, you're going to have a declaration page. Your insurance company has a declaration page, and it lists out how your coverage and what you're covered for, right? So if you're covered for home repair of greater than $37,900, FEMA will not help you with home repair. However, let's say you can't live in your home right now, right? Your home is not livable, you need to live in a rental property, but your insurance company either provides you only a small amount of money for rental assistance or no money for rental assistance. FEMA can help with that. There is no cap limit to rental assistance. The way to qualify for rental assistance would be through telling FEMA that your home is not livable and that you need to live somewhere else. FEMA can remember highlighting these cans, right? Can provide you up to 2 months worth of rent. And I guarantee you it's not going to cover 2 months worth of rent. It's going to be a lot less than 2 months. It'll be 2 months worth of rent. After that, after those 2 months, within a month after that, FEMA will send you a letter. And it's called a Continued Temporary Housing Assistance Form, CTHA. They're going to want you to fill out this form, explain to them that you still need additional rental assistance, show them your temporary lease agreement or your rental receipts, along with your utilities, show them your W-2 statements, what you're paying per month, and FEMA can provide you with another 2 months worth of rent. And this can continue on until you are back into your home or have found permanent housing, or until 18 months from the date of the disaster. FEMA will only assist for 18 months. So there are many different things. That's just one example. Sanibel.
So these assistance programs you're talking about are all for primary residents, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
No investments, no commercial, just primary homes.
Thank you for asking that. So the question is, these programs are only for primary residences, not for secondary homes. That is correct. So FEMA is going to help you as the homeowner or the renter who was living in that property at the time of the disaster. So if you own your home and were occupying it at the time of the disaster, FEMA will assist you. If you are a renter who is occupying the home at the time of the disaster, FEMA will assist you, apartment, condo, you know, that, as long as you are occupying that property at the time of the disaster, and you can prove that, and we can help you prove that, FEMA will assist you. But if you have a second home, FEMA's not gonna help you. The SBA, unfortunately, unless you are renting that property out, will not provide you with a loan for that second home. So if you are a landlord and you have a rental property, the rental property was damaged, the SBA may provide you with a loan to help repair that. May provide you with a loan. Does that answer your question?
I have a question, and I know I'm late coming in. I went to the FEMA setup at the library, and the woman helped me fill out the form. I showed her the hotel receipts we had. They said I was eligible. I continued to get some response, and I went in on Sanibel, and this woman said, "What, too bad, it was over November 18th, and you can't get your money." And I told her, I did everything they told me to do. Twice I went in. And, you know, that's just, and then the guy who's heading up the system here said, "Well, you know, we have a lot of people and need a lot of money, and we don't have that many workers. Why don't you apply for a job at FEMA?" And you know, I said to him, I have lost my effing home and all of my personal belongings, and you're just blowing me off. And this woman said, "Oh, sorry, it's a technicality. It was over November 18th. I said, "I did everything you told me to do." She said, "You didn't apply to TSA."
Okay, so for those who could not hear, this woman had gone to the disaster recovery center, the FEMA disaster recovery center at the library. She tried applying for reimbursements, hotel reimbursements for the time that she was displaced from her home, which you can do, okay? FEMA gave her instructions on what to do. She followed those instructions twice, has not received any assistance, has gone back, and then FEMA says, "Well, too late, too bad." And I've worked helping survivors for a while, and my feelings about FEMA are not some that I should fully disclose. It is an organization with good intentions, and at times very bad execution, okay? And a lot of times FEMA hires associates or representatives just before the disaster hits or right after the disaster hits. They don't have enough time to be trained. Disasters are happening at more successive rates and in grander scales. FEMA just doesn't have the capacity, right? So unfortunately, you are more likely than not to experience similar situations as what this poor woman has experienced. Know that you have advocates on your side. I have trained other nonprofit organizations on the appeals process. So my associates can help you, or there are other organizations throughout Florida who I've trained on the appeals process, and they can help you. Don't take no for an answer. Do not take no for an answer, an appeal.
So I appealed. I appealed 2 months' rent. They said, "No, you have insurance." I submitted all my letters of
We'll help you. We'll help you. We will help you. We have something called a volunteer agency liaison, a FEMA volunteer agency liaison, who we work with. It's essentially they're 1 foot inside FEMA, 1 foot outside. We can see what's going on with your case. We can see why FEMA keeps denying you, because FEMA's notorious for not explaining things very well in their letters, right? Or giving you a letter at all to understand why you've received money. So we can find that out for you. I saw some other hands. Okay, you back.
Yes, I had a And I know most, it's difficult to get help with yard stuff, so that was my main question. Is there anything out there for yard?
Okay,
They
so.
help me with these pine trees.
She just asked, is there any type of resource available for yard assistance? Because there are big pine trees that have fallen. Team Rubicon can help with that. Additionally, this gentleman over here had, or one of the gentlemen over here had can I see the door hanger? There it is. It's right here. I found it. Right here, this is being put on by the Florida Division of Emergency Management. Debris removal. So if you go to iandebriscleanup.com, iandebriscleanup.com, or call 1-850-961-2002. They could help with that debris removal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So my question is about, just to clarify the second home situation. If you are living in your home and it's your primary residence and you happen to have another home somewhere else, are you excluded from all this assistance?
Okay, so she just asked, if you have a primary home, you're living in it, but you have a secondary home, are you excluded from assistance? No. Your primary home will be assisted.
And that's the one that's damaged. My secondary one is a property in France. It's not like I can just live there and work here.
No,
So
no.
it's not gonna be-
No, so if you have, that's a great question. So again, FEMA will assist you if you own a home or we're renting a home and we're occupying that home at the time of the disaster. Doesn't matter if you have secondary homes. FEMA's not gonna help with the secondary homes. But they'll help you in your home that was damaged, that you were living in at the time of the disaster.
Okay, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Let's say you have an insurance policy that tells you, no, you have a secondary home, we're not gonna do anything for this home that's on Sanibel. Because now, would FEMA step in at that point, or?
So if, her follow-up question was, let's say you have an insurance company that's not going to help you because you're stating that you have a secondary home. Now, if you are denied insurance or you are not provided sufficient funds from insurance, and that's less than the $37,900, then FEMA can help you on that primary home. I would also recommend in these cases to reach out to that disaster legal aid and see if they can try to advocate and push your insurance company to assist you for your primary residence. You're welcome. So another name right here. Yes, sir.
Yes, a couple of questions with regard to appeal. There's a time limit, as I recall, with regard to appealing. However, if you don't miss that, if you miss the time limit, can you get an extension on that, and for how long? That's primarily my question.
Okay, so his question was, FEMA gives you a time limit to appeal. So if you notice on your letters that you receive, it'll say you have 60 days to appeal this decision. Now, that's not set in stone, okay? I'm gonna give you a bunch of different timelines, right? So a disaster occurs, FEMA generally provides 2 months to apply for FEMA assistance. FEMA's extended the deadline to January 12th or January 18th. So if you have not yet applied to FEMA, apply. You have until mid-January to do so. Apply even if you have insurance, because again, you don't know how much insurance is going to provide you or if they're going to deny you, right? So apply at the same time you're reaching out to your insurance company. And all this information that I'm sharing, please share with your neighbors. If you know people who have not yet applied and they're like, oh, I'm still working with my insurance company, say, doesn't matter. Make sure you get a FEMA registration number, because after that deadline, after that January 12th deadline, FEMA won't assist you after that, or it's gonna be a lot harder to try to get FEMA to assist you, right? So, 60 days. Then FEMA's gonna take up to 90 days to provide you with a determination. Up to 90 days. I'm telling you, this is a marathon. No, it's fine. Then, after the date of the last letter you receive, right? They'll say 60 days to appeal. If you are unable to appeal within 60 days, that's okay. That is A-okay. You can't find a contractor. You can't find the documentation you need to appeal properly. What you do in that appeal is you explain why it's been after 60 days. I understand I'm supposed to appeal within this time frame. However, I could not yet find a contractor to provide me estimates. Now that I have estimates, here is my appeal. Super simple. Now, with appealing, again, we can do the appeals for you, make it so easy. Do not write long letters. They don't read them, someone just said. They don't read them. You want these letters to be as short and concise as possible. I'm appealing the home repairs assistance monies I've already received. I have damages exceeding what you have given me. I've attached our contractor estimates showing the extent of damage. Please reconsider me for additional funds. Or, I have insurance, but I was denied. I have insurance, but I was not given sufficient funds. Here's the documentation for that, along with the letter needs to be super short and sweet. But all supplementing documents, everything supporting that letter needs to be as detailed as possible. You want all the documents you can provide. If you have a profile with disasterassistance.gov, you can upload your appeal there. Do not, however, upload one page, then another page, then another page. Don't do that. Because what happens, FEMA in their glorious ways, will send documents. It's not just one representative looking at your profile. These documents are going to different representatives, right? So you want to have the one complete appeals packet, your letter, your statement of insurance, whatever you received or whether you were denied or whether you didn't have insurance, all the supporting documentation in one appeal.
But often it won't take it because there's no, it exceeds the megabyte.
So she just said often it won't take it because it exceeds the megabyte. FEMA exceeds the size limit. You can only have a maximum of 10 megabits in this, in your uploads, right? If you know someone who can help you compress the file, you can get those file sizes down. Another thing, do not send photos. You're like, wait, why shouldn't I send photos? How am I supposed to show the damage? FEMA's not going to look at the photos. FEMA's system makes those photos grainy, and they see it in black and white a lot of times, right? So they're going to look at here and be like, I don't see it. Don't do it. You want line item estimates from contractors. Because then, with these line item estimates from contractors, it'll state the extent of damage to your home, right? Then FEMA will call the contractor and verify the estimates. So you have someone else substantiating, verifying that you do have damages that exceed the amount of funds that FEMA already provided. Don't send photos. Yes, sir.
Can you confirm that FEMA doesn't cover lost personal property or vegetation, trees, that sort of thing?
He asked if I could confirm if FEMA does not cover lost personal property or vegetation. So, great question. We just talked about FEMA home repair assistance, but we did not talk about other needs assistance. So you can receive receive up to $37,900 for home repair. You can, but that home repair is if you are an owner only. If you do not own your home, if you are a renter, you cannot receive that home repair assistance. We can go over that too. If you are a renter or a homeowner, you can receive up to $37,900 for other needs assistance. I've never seen anyone receive up to $37,900 for other needs assistance. I have seen people receive up to $37,900 from home repair. But other needs assistance includes personal property, transportation, moving and storage, childcare, funeral costs, medical, dental, group flood insurance. Now, what's going to happen is that when you apply to FEMA, if you put 0 down as your household income, FEMA's automatically going to kick you over to the Small Business Administration, the SBA, to fill out a loan. Because FEMA's thought is no one survives off nothing. So, put your household income in there. They also have a threshold. If you make over a certain amount, which they don't disclose to us and they never will, they'll also send you over to the SBA to apply to a loan. If you have been referred over to the SBA, apply immediately. You don't have to accept a loan. You don't have to accept a loan. But if you are denied a loan, FEMA will, or SBA will refer you back over to FEMA, and then FEMA can help you with personal property, transportation, moving, and storage. Those 3 items. Everything else under other needs assistance you can be helped with. Personal property, transportation, moving, and storage, if you are referred over to the SBA, are contingent upon a denial from the SBA. Okay? So you want to fill out the SBA application really quick. Personal property includes essential personal property. And you're like, well, Claire, what is essential personal property? Well, I wish I knew exactly what it was. FEMA and the state of Florida had gotten together a few years past and decided what those essential property items are. They don't tell us what they are. But I do know major appliances are included in that. Major appliances, refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, not waffle irons, not air fryers, not, dishwashers are included.
They are.
At times. But here's another thing. You're gonna receive a determination for personal property. I'll get to you soon. You're gonna receive a determination letter. And it's gonna say, if you are approved for personal property, it will say, you have received X amount of dollars for personal property. Make sure you use this for personal property. It will not tell you what it covers. You have to guess. But then, FEMA wants you to keep all your receipts. Please keep all your receipts. Please keep them all, because at some point FEMA could audit you. And I'm talking about some point even years down the line. I mentioned that we started working our organization during Katrina. Well, I can tell you right now that people are still being audited today for Katrina. So keep your receipts forever. If it's possible, take pictures, upload it to the cloud. One second. But just to get to your question right here, personal property includes major appliances, bedroom sets, living room sets, big ticket items. They're not going to cover what they actually cost. Okay? They're going to be your Kmart, not even Walmart, your Kmart variety furnishings. Okay? Kmart doesn't even exist anymore. But Kmart variety furnishings. That said, it's better than nothing, right? That help is better than nothing. And you can appeal. If FEMA gives you, let's say, $2,000 for personal property, you're like, wait a second, I lost so much, you can appeal. Unfortunately, FEMA will not pay for, antique record sets or, things that are of most value to you, FEMA will not cover. Please note this. if you stated in your application that you're the only one living in the house, and you have 3 other people living in that house, FEMA is going to take that into consideration. They're gonna say, wait, why are you requesting personal property damage or even home repair damage for the bedrooms that are not being occupied right now? So what I would do is, if you have that application handy, make sure you put everyone who is living in that household at the time of the disaster is located on that application, or call FEMA. I know, you laugh about that. The call times are shorter now, don't worry. The call times are shorter. And just make sure that they have everyone listed that lives inside your household, because that will determine percentage. Okay, one second, I'm gonna start there, then here, then here. So, I know there was, yes, sir.
Hi, thank you. I'm a contractor in the state of Florida. And I've heard, I've asked 3 FEMA people about, I lost all my tools, I lost my truck, which had all my tools in it, so I've got 30 years worth of stuff gone. 1 said no, 2 have said yes. I'm in the process now of taking pictures and documenting everything that is going to the side of the road. Is there a chance that I can recover? I mean, it's still looking. Planers, joiners, welders, it's.
Okay, so this gentleman said that he is a contractor and he lost all the tools that he needs. He lost his truck that also included all tools. He asked 3 different FEMA representatives if he can be assisted with that. 1 said no, 2 said yes. My answer to you is yes. So, if your company, your organization does not cover the costs of the tools that were lost, FEMA can, again, highlighting that word, can help cover the costs of tools that were lost, because this is your livelihood, right? So let's say you have a computer, whether you use it for work or your children or grandchildren use it for school, you can appeal FEMA for that, explaining you need this for your children's education, for your grandchildren's education, for your work, it's not covered. So these are tools that you need to survive, right? If you have a vehicle that was damaged, this is also included in other needs assistance, right? So if you have a vehicle that was damaged, FEMA can provide you up to $6,000. You have to have liability insurance, because that is Florida's requirement for an active registration. If you have full coverage on your vehicle, definitely go to your insurance company, your vehicle, whatever auto insurance company you have, because they will definitely, most likely, give you a lot more money than what FEMA would. So go to them first. FEMA will want to know, too. But FEMA can provide up to $6,000 per vehicle. You will need to show them mechanics estimates. The mechanics estimates will need to state that the damages were caused by Ian. And that would be done through an appeal. Additionally, moving and storage expenses. If your home was completely flooded or damaged, you need to move furniture out, put it into a storage unit, FEMA can help with that too. You need to provide the storage unit, lease, contract, and then a month or 2's worth of payments, and FEMA will help with that. Let's go here to you, sir, and then back over there.
Okay, this is a question directly from my public adjuster. It's about the SBA. It says, in his experience, just since Ian, the SBA has denied many, many applications because Sanibel is a barrier island. Sanibel won't be given money for people or businesses because they reason that it happened here once, it could happen here again, and therefore they won't reimburse.
Okay, so his public adjuster, wants clarification. He says, hey, SBA might not assist here in Sanibel Island because this is a barrier island. And, damages have occurred here once before, it could occur again, so SBA is not providing any loans. I can't speak to that, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I have heard of some people, raise your hand if you've received a loan or been approved for a loan. Yeah, so there are people out here on this island who are receiving loans, so I try with the SBA. Yes, so let me explain the difference between FEMA and the SBA and why FEMA and the SBA work together. So FEMA is a needs-based grant. Needs-based. It's a grant provided to those who do not have insurance or are underinsured. Again, it's not gonna bring your home back to that pre-disaster condition, okay? It's barely gonna make your home safe, sanitary, and functional. You're lucky if you get the $37,900. Appeal. Have I stated it enough? Appeal. Okay, SBA is a loan that is based off of income and credit. Now, the reason FEMA and the SBA partnered together was because FEMA had no way to do any income level tests to determine who the needs are, right? So FEMA wants to make sure these other needs, the personal property, transportation, moving, and storage, go to those survivors who most need it. Again, you can receive home repair assistance from FEMA and still be referred out to the SBA. Okay, FEMA's gonna help you with home repair assistance whether or not you were approved or denied the SBA. Okay, so SBA is a loan that can help bring your home back to that pre-disaster condition. If you are a homeowner, SBA can provide you a loan of up to $200,000. Okay, if you are a renter, FEMA or SBA can provide you a loan of up to $40,000 to cover personal property costs. Now, if you are required by FEMA to apply for a loan with the SBA, that is only for other needs, personal property, transportation, moving, and storage. If you are approved a loan from the SBA, you do not need to accept it, but you will not receive assistance from FEMA for personal property, transportation, moving, and storage. Now, what the SBA does is they use IRS tax information to determine if you are eligible for a loan. So, if you make less than $25,000 in a year and you have not filed taxes because you're not required to because you make less than $25,000 a year, SBA is not going to be able to verify your income. And when they can't verify your income, they are going to withdraw you from the application. And then they're going to tell FEMA that you withdrew, which is not the case. So you got to get on SBA's back. So my recommendation is if you have less than $25,000 a year worth of income, have not filed taxes, when you apply to the SBA, include copies of your Social Security benefit statement or your W-2 forms or any type of pay stub that you have to prove your income is under a certain amount, right? To try to help avoid that withdrawal. Once you're in that withdrawal phase, it's near impossible to move forward. Okay, so you have, you've been approved for a loan, let's say, excuse me. You've been approved for a loan. Based off of your credit, SBA can provide you a loan between 2.18% interest up to 4% interest, again, based on credit. The term lengths can be anywhere between 15% and 30%. With an SBA loan, you can negotiate. Years. Did I say something different? Yeah, so, sorry. So 15 to 30 years, term length. So you can negotiate your SBA loan. let's say SBA gives you a loan of $200,000, but you don't need $200,000, you actually only need $50,000. You can negotiate that. Now, let's say, sorry, I'll get to you in just a second. Let's say you received money from FEMA for home repairs, or even received money from your insurance and FEMA for home repairs, but it's not sufficient, and you need a loan from the SBA. You can apply to the SBA for a home loan, and the SBA can approve you for a certain amount. So, let's say SBA provides you with a loan amount of $200,000. What they're going to do is they're going to deduct the entire amount of money you've already received from FEMA. Home repairs, other needs assistance, rental assistance, you name it. They're going to deduct everything you've already received from FEMA from that loan amount to avoid the duplication of benefits. Okay? And at that point, let's say they deduct $40,000. So now you have a loan of $160,000, right? You can accept that loan or you can negotiate from there. Okay? Here, then here, then here.
No, I was just going to say, I was at a FEMA meeting at Big Arts last week, and there was an SBA executive who said that there will be no interest loans for up to 18 months.
Yeah, correct. Right now they decided, and I'm not sure if it's 18 or a year. Right now they said in Florida, SBA loan applicants who receive a loan will be interest-free for the first year, maybe 18 months. Thank you. I think we had, okay.
So if your insurance is, so if you just take the flood insurance and max out your flood insurance, so it's $250 and $100, you're gonna blow out you're over the FEMA limits already, right? So you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, he asked, if you have insurance, then you've received over $200,000 for that, you won't receive anything from FEMA, you've maxed that out. Correct, unless you need that rental assistance or things that are not covered through your insurance.
And on SBA, in terms of loans, I think they're mortgages, right? They're against your property.
Right.
And then, is there a max, or can you go higher than 200 or whatever that number is?
Okay, so follow-up question about the SBA, is it a mortgage loan, so it does go against your mortgage,
It's against your property, right?
yeah,
Right.
it's,
Personally.
yeah, they use your property as collateral. $200,000 is the maximum award for disaster assistance. I'm not sure if they make any exceptions for other things, but for disaster assistance, disaster recovery, you as an individual, they will provide you up to $200,000 for the home repairs. Yes, sir.
Yes, a lot of us here have elevated homes, and we've probably discovered how little flood insurance covers with an elevated home. We thought that, we would have contents, we'd have some of the walls. Some folks, have walls all around, their breakaway walls all around the bottom. Some build out their interiors, or some have them as garages. Some folks have interior staircases that have walls around them. If you had 6 feet of water, a lot of that was destroyed. My flood adjuster said, none of that's covered. The doors are not covered, any of your walls downstairs are not covered. So it's not a matter of you applying for insurance are not wanting to cover it. By law, federal law, they're simply not covered. So if you've got these items, which you can't secure the bottom of your house, that internal staircase, you don't have a door, and anybody can just walk into your house. Would those types of damages, those costs, once we get our contractor to give us estimates, can we apply for FEMA assistance for those, because they are excluded from the federal flood insurance coverage?
So he said, he has a lifted home, he's on stilts, right? And a lot of people on Sanibel have higher homes. Insurance does not cover that first floor. They just flat out don't on this island. Some people have built out spaces on the first floor, or have staircases, internal staircases going up to their home on that first floor. Does FEMA assist where insurance does not? Appeal and find out. That's what we gotta appeal. We gotta state the facts to FEMA, say This is a safety issue. This is a security issue. We need funds to make sure that no one enters my home, and insurance is not covering that. We show FEMA that insurance doesn't cover it, and we appeal, and we hope that FEMA provides us.
Ironically, if you go into the federal flood insurance policy, you're gonna see some clauses on what's covered. And in one case it says, and I had an argument with my adjuster on this, in one case it says, it will not cover, in an elevated home, it will cover the drywall in the basement. This is written in the federal policy. It says, it will cover the drywall. So I said to the examiner, well, my ground floor is my basement. And he says, I tried that and it was rejected. He says, if your ground floor was 6 inches or a foot lower than the grade, then your drywall would be covered. So it's just dealing with the federal flood insurance policy. So that's why I'm saying, will FEMA, hopefully come to the rescue. Oh, if you had a freezer, it's covered.
Can I read this really quick?
Yeah.
So, National Flood Insurance Policy, NFIP, has a statement that says, even though we don't help with the first floor, we can help with the drywall in the basement. In order to receive that money for the basement, your floors have to go at least 6 inches below the ground to be able to receive that. It's a lot of contingencies, right?
They will cover a freezer, but not if you have a refrigerator.
I said that they'll cover a freezer, but not if you have a refrigerator.
It's because it's written in the policy. It will cover a freezer. But if you have a freezer, refrigerator downstairs in an elevated home, it's not covered.
He said if you have a refrigerator or freezer in an elevated home, it's not covered. Can I talk NFIP really quick before I get to you, sir? National Flood Insurance Policy. Okay? For those of you who did not have flood insurance at the time of this disaster and you are receiving FEMA assistance, FEMA may provide you a letter along with your award that says you are now required to have flood insurance. And they are also going to state in this letter something that there was a gentleman who was up here talking to me earlier today. Horrible language. Awful language. Can I see that letter really quick and read that language out? Thank you. When you get down to the fourth paragraph, it's going to have bold written letters. First of all, it's going to say, right here, it's going to say, you have been eligible for home repair assistance with a flood insurance requirement. Okay? Then, when you get down to that paragraph I just showed you with bold, the first sentence is going to say, failure to purchase and maintain flood insurance may affect your eligibility for future FEMA assistance for flood damage. That is correct. If you do not have insurance, once FEMA sends you a letter saying you have a flood insurance requirement, if you do not have flood insurance in the next flood-related disaster, FEMA will not assist you. Say there's wildfire here for some strange reason. FEMA can assist with that. But they will not assist with any flood-related future damage if you do not have flood insurance. Now, this second line is the line I hate, and I wish would be rephrased, because it's completely confusing. It says, and this is something, and I will state, I have spoken to many FEMA representatives, close up to the top, and many hazard mitigation specialists, and I have had this confirmed, so this is verifiable, okay? It says, on this letter, it says, if you do not accept the requirement to purchase and maintain flood insurance, you must return all flood-related FEMA assistance awards within 30 days from the date of this letter. So let's say you were given $20,000 for your home repair, and then you read this and say, it says if you don't want flood insurance, then you have to give it back. No, that's not what it means. Okay? They make it extra confusing to understand, right? What it means is the moment FEMA has this requirement, it is placed on your property. This flood insurance requirement is placed on your property.
Structure or what?
The ground, the land, right? That property. So, in the state of Florida, you do not need to disclose. I really hope as honest, upholding with integrity citizens, you would disclose to the buyer that there is a flood insurance requirement. If you don't want that flood insurance requirement placed on the property, you could return all FEMA funds that you have been provided for this disaster to FEMA, every last penny, return it back to FEMA, and FEMA theoretically will remove that requirement off the property, so it won't be listed on the title, it won't be, okay? That's what they mean here. Do I trust that that flood insurance requirement would be removed if you return all your funds? No. So what my recommendation would be, use the funds FEMA provides you for your recovery. Just note that if there's a future flood-related disaster and you don't have flood insurance, FEMA will not assist you. Thanks for letting me borrow this. For those of you who are heading out and would like any FEMA appeals assistance, I hope you have a flyer. I think we have more up by these cameras and we can help you with that. Yes, sir.
You're doing a really good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
On this question, well, obviously this question, in where I'm residing, it's my permanent residence, okay? It's a condominium. Now, the building has flood insurance, there are only a few units in this building. The flood insurance will cover up to the first level, so it'll cover the drywall, things of that sort. However, it doesn't cover contents. I also have wind insurance, but no flood insurance individually, okay, on my unit. My question is, can I apply to FEMA for a personal property that has been destroyed or damaged? And if so, how do I go about that? And secondly, do I need photographs of everything? Because the reason I say that, when this first began, that we could come over and spending a fortune on coming over with boats that were charging $200 for a round trip, and coming in and seeing all the muck I had on my floor, which is 12 feet above sea level, or above the ground, I should say, I was shoveling this stuff out, because I just didn't want it to continue to soak into my wood floors and things like that. And foolishly, I didn't take as many pictures as I should have. I did ironically take pictures of my entire place before I left for vacation in the end of August. So I'm sorry to bother everybody or bore everybody with this. Maybe it applies to some others, but how can I go about getting assistance?
So, okay, so he lives in a condominium. First, condo has flood insurance for the first floor. He had homeowner's insurance for the remaining. Because he had flood-related damage, the homeowner's insurance is not going to cover personal property, right?
Right.
So, can he apply to FEMA? What's the process to do that? Now, if you have not yet applied to FEMA,
I have.
you have, okay, so, but if you have not yet applied to FEMA, you can do so 3 ways. You can go to that local disaster recovery center at the library, know that you need to have some patience with these representatives, obviously.
It's on the island now.
Oh, is it on the island now? Okay, great. So there's a disaster recovery center on the island. You can have FEMA representative help you. You can go to disasterassistance.gov, G-O-V. You can call FEMA's helpline. Again, right now, the helpline is a lot quicker to get into. I think the maximum wait time I had recently was maybe 5 minutes. Huge difference to the 4 hours or longer. Also, FEMA is now doing we'll hold your place in line and give you a ring back, which is also very nice. So you can call in, leave your phone number, FEMA will call you back. Or we, at SBP, my associates, can help you appeal or file an application with FEMA. We will do everything for you. Now, you already filed an application with FEMA. You have a registration number, but your insurance company doesn't cover everything. We will help you appeal. Okay? All you have to do is call us, 1-800-276-9511. Our flyers are right there on the table in front of the camera. 1-800-276-9511. You can also email us at FEMA, F-E-M-A, help, H-E-L-P, at sbpusa.org. It's at the bottom of the flyers. We can do the whole process for you. If you are a homeowner, we can also pay for contractors to come out to your home and perform line item estimates, something that is a requirement for FEMA. Now, I just want to let you know, it all sounds amazing. Just want to let you know that these contractor estimates will be in accordance to what FEMA is looking for. So it'll be safe, sanitary, functional. It will not show everything to get your home back to that pre-disaster condition. It's not going to show how to fix your lanai or your garage because FEMA does not cover that. But this is imperative for your FEMA appeal. Okay? So we cover all that. We have amazing grantors. Walmart Foundation, Toyota Foundation, Red Cross, AARP. I mean, great foundations that are helping us help you. So we can definitely help you through your appeal. What will happen is that when you call us or you leave your information with me, we will call you. It'll be maybe a 20-minute phone call, allowing us to be able to get information we need to draft the appeal and also understand what you've gone through, what damages there are. We then will send you a release of information form if you do not come up here and fill one out yourself. That release of information form allows us to speak to FEMA on your behalf. FEMA is a stickler with privacy. And unless you have granted us permission to talk to FEMA, FEMA's not going to let us find out anything about your situation. Okay? So once we have that release of information form, we will also tell you, hey, we might need X, Y, or Z document that you have to be able to add to the appeal. If you have insurance and your insurance has responded to you, but you are underawarded or you're denied, we want you to take pictures of those insurance letters, send those to us so we can add them to the appeal. What we will then do is then have contractors go out to your home, perform estimates. We'll keep you apprised of everything. You or someone you know has to be at your house during that time. It takes about 45 minutes. They go in depth, do full line item estimates. Those estimates come to us. At that point, we compile the appeal. We then send that off to you. You review it. You'll have those contractor estimates at that point, right? You review everything. You sign it. It immediately kicks back over to us, and we fax it to FEMA. We then track your appeal until you are awarded.
Can I follow up?
Yes.
But what if you just have wind insurance? Okay, wind coverage, but no flood. So then you said you need a denial from your insurance carrier?
Yeah, you'll need a denial letter.
Excuse me for interrupting. How do you get a denial letter if you've already, your policy just shows wind coverage? I mean, doesn't it seem like a catch-22 in terms of I write to them and they call me and they say, you know, you don't have flood insurance coverage, you just have wind coverage.
When you apply to FEMA, you tell them if you have insurance. You told them whether you had flood insurance or wind insurance or homeowners insurance or whatever. FEMA's going to automatically deny you if you tell them you have insurance. Reason being, FEMA wants to know how much your insurance company is providing you, right? So yeah, even though your homeowner's insurance might just cover wind damage, you didn't have wind damage, it was flood damage, you still need to reach out to all home-related insurance companies and get either the denial letter or that settlement, right? Because we can't move forward with that appeal. FEMA's not going to process anything until they know that you were denied from all insurance companies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
So if you had you were self-employed on the island, and, I mean, I'm a caterer, I can't work, there's no work, is that just for SBA, or can I do my home SBA and my home FEMA and my business SBA? If FEMA doesn't help my business, yeah, I mean, do I do 2 applications, one for the business, one for my home that's been severely damaged, or is it all one?
So this lady was saying that her business is out of her home. So how does she go about getting assistance? I would apply to both FEMA, because you live in certain parts of that home, right? You live in certain parts of that home. So apply to FEMA, and then for the business side of your venture, reach out to the Small Business Administration for assistance there.
Okay, so the FEMA doesn't help the business, that would be.
FEMA does not help with business. FEMA is individual assistance. Individual assistance meaning where people reside, right?
Okay, so would I have 2 applications to the SBA? One for my home and one for my business, or is it just one lumped together?
She asked, do I have 2 separate SBA applications? That I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I don't have that knowledge, so if you can reach out to the SBA, they can provide you that with that information. Yes, ma'am.
I know we have 2 separate applications into SBA, one personal, which has been approved, I'm just deciding whether or not, and then a business one, but that one's, we're in the withdrawn stage at this point, so going through that. But I thought you said something about, in the regards to the gentleman in the back that's a contractor, that he lost all of his tools, planer, and you said to apply with FEMA for that part. So if you're your tools lost, my husband's tools lost, that weren't covered under insurance, in the driveway flooded, in the garage, that's flooded because flood insurance doesn't cover that. So that would not be covered under FEMA?
So, she wants to ask Jeff the question again about tools. Now, you're a caterer as well?
No, I'm not speaking for my husband.
He's a
contractor.
Oh, her husband's a contractor. Okay, so again, FEMA can help with essential tools. Tools needed for your livelihood. They can help with that. So you can try to appeal FEMA for that through a personal property appeal.
Do you have a separate FEMA account for your personal property and then do one under a different, your business email address application for FEMA?
Great question. So she wants to know if you're utilizing FEMA assistance for your tools, if you should have 2 separate applications to FEMA. You can only apply to FEMA under one address. If there are multiple people applying under one address, FEMA is going to see that and flag it as fraud. Okay. So with FEMA helps homeowners, renters with residents, right? So file one appeal. Now, when you're filing appeals, I don't want you to combine home repair appeal and personal property appeal. Don't do that. Reason being is there are 2 different appeal types. They come from different monetary buckets, right? One is for other needs, one is for home repair. So when you're filing an appeal, file one home repair appeal. When you're filing an appeal for personal property, you can include those tools in that personal property appeal. Say, hey, my major appliance, list out the damages of your major appliances, your living room set, your dining set, your bedroom sets, and your essential tools. List it all out. If you can have a contractor come and vet that, great. Now, for those of you who live in rental properties, and FEMA will have an inspector go out to the house. Sometimes you've already removed all that stuff, and the inspector's like, well, nah, you're fine. How do you go ahead and verify? Well, you can have a landlord write a letter stating that floodwaters came up to this level, or the home was damaged and a bunch of your personal property was destroyed. So if you have a landlord who is able to help with that letter, just stating that can prove to FEMA that you did have personal property loss. All right? So he just asked for clarification, FEMA will not assist with personal property unless if they've received a response from the SBA. If you were requested to apply for an SBA loan, FEMA will not move forward with any personal property, transportation, or moving and storage expenses, any grant funding, no award to you, until that SBA has denied you a loan. Correct. So you want to make sure you apply for that loan immediately. Again, you don't need to take that loan. You don't need to take it. But if you are eligible for FEMA funds, you won't know until you apply for that loan. So apply to the SBA immediately if you are requested to. Sometimes you might not be requested to. If you put in your household income in the application, then FEMA might say, oh, you're under the threshold, we're not even going to send you over to the SBA. We're just gonna give you money for your personal property, okay? But if you are requested to fill out an SBA loan application, do so.
Is that an automatic, once they get the results of the SBA status?
So what
Or
happens?
do you have to specially ask FEMA for personal property?
So what happens is that after you apply to the SBA, and let's say the SBA denies you, the SBA is going to send you a denial letter. SBA is also going to send information to FEMA stating that you were denied. Sometimes their wires are crossed. Sometimes the SBA doesn't inform FEMA. And what does that do? That keeps you stuck again, right? You're completely stuck. So when you're like, wait, I was denied, why haven't I not received anything? I want you to call FEMA and say, hey, I was denied an SBA loan, and I want to see what it says in your system, if I was denied or not. If FEMA says, no, right in our system, it still shows your application is pending, then you have to call the SBA and say, look, man, you've denied me this many weeks ago. FEMA system still shows that it's pending. I need you to make sure FEMA's system is updated. Because I can send them my denial letter, but FEMA's going to say, anyone can forge an SBA loan denial letter. I want to hear from the SBA myself. That's what FEMA's going to say. So, super tricky situation. We can help with that. SBP, we can help with that. So, if this is your situation, reach out to us. Any other questions?
I've got something to,
Follow up?
we just got our award, and the same day that I got the award, I got this email that looked like it was from FEMA asking me to reapply. And it turned out, I took it over to Bass Road, they looked at it, they'd never seen that before, and it was a fraudulent attempt to go after those funds.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And they said that they're having a horrendous problem with fraud.
So he was just talking about fraud. What happened to him is he received an award from FEMA, and then right after that, he received an email.
The same day.
The same day.
Within an hour.
Within an hour, he received an email from FEMA saying, hey, we need you to reapply. Now, fraud is rampant. I want you guys to protect yourselves. Fraud is so bad. It comes in forms of people trying to get information from you for FEMA so that they can access FEMA funds. It comes from certain fraudulent adjusters who will go knocking door to door. It'll go through contractors, right, who will say, well, pay me up front and I'll fix your home. Now, a few things. With contractors, never pay up front.
Nothing? They usually want 50%.
You would never pay in full, right? If you want to make sure that they have insurance, right? And then, sir, guy in the back, if you wanna speak to any of this, I invite you to speak to some of this. You wanna make sure, you might wanna check the Better Business Bureau, verify who they are. What my recommendation is, ask your friends and family who they've used in the past, get recommendations. Yes, sir.
You can go to mysanibel.com, and there's a list in there of approved contractors who have license to work on Sanibel. And I would never give anybody money unless the materials, if you have windows or something like that, when the windows come, get a receipt, write them a check for the windows are on site. It's unfortunate, you know, I've been on Sanibel going on, I don't know, close to 60 years. And, yeah, you see it all, so just, be careful.
Well, I got a quote.
Let me relay this, thank you for that, I need to relay it for the camera. So, mysanibel.com has a list of approved contractors within Sanibel, they are, go ahead.
Right, and so does Lee County.
And so does Lee County.
Right.
And you go to leecounty.gov?
Right, leecounty.gov, but in order to work on Sanibel, that contractor has got to be on mysanibel.com.
In order to work in Sanibel, your contractor has to be on mysanibel.com because they are licensed and approved to come here to this island.
Right.
So make sure to look them up. Never give funds up front. If you have materials that need to be paid for, like windows, go ahead and say, once you drop that off to me, show me your receipt, I'll pay you then. If a contractor says, well, how much have you gotten from FEMA or from your insurance? Do not disclose that. It is none of their business. None of their business. If they say, well, you can just sign your check over to me, do not do that. Okay? Sir?
So if I'm getting my roof done, and they give me a quote, and they want 25% up front, is that customary?
Yeah. Just make sure it's a major, who is it?
In general, when you're not in a disaster situation, when you are repairing
I don't know them
something from your
personally,
home,
but go to the Sanibel website before you do business with them, and if you can't find it on the website, you can call 472-4555, and that'll take you to the building department, and they'd be more than happy to help you. They're a terrific bunch.
After the causeway is open in January, we're gonna have an avalanche of contractors and con artists from all over the country. But be careful.
yeah, so after, sorry, let me.
Because now, right now, the contractors all need to get a pass from the city, so there's a vetting process.
Let me please relay all this stuff, because we have people watching on video. So, in times of non-disaster, sometimes it is customary to pay 25% upfront. But because you're trying to protect yourself right now from fraud, which is rampant, we highly recommend that there's no upfront funds, or you verify on mysanibel.com. Once the causeway is open, because right now you have the police that are guarding the entrance to the bridge and asking, what are you doing here, where are you going? Once that's open, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people coming in and out and saying that they can fix your home for this, and then they can grab your money and run.
But they still have to be registered with the city of Sanibel. You've got to take your contractor's license from DEP, DOR, whatever it is, up there and give it to them. Otherwise, they are operating illegally. So you can still go to the city of Sanibel website and look for Costa Roofing, okay, and see if he's listed there, then they are licensed by the city of Sanibel.
So definitely go on to sanibel.com and look up the contractors that you work with. They will be registered and licensed. Thank you for that. FEMA fraud. You can have people calling you pretending to be FEMA. You can have emails now pretending to be FEMA. What I want you to do is, if you don't trust the person on the other end of the line, or you don't trust that email, I want you to call the female helpline. FEMA helpline is gonna be your biggest resource, right? And they have all notes about your case. So you call them and say, hey, someone just called me right now. If it was a FEMA representative that had called you, they're gonna input it into your file. And immediately, the FEMA helpline will be able to know, oh yeah, John Smith, FEMA reg this, or FEMA number this, did call you, right? And if it was not a FEMA representative, there's gonna be nothing in that system, right? In that file, and then that helpline person will say, okay, good, glad you didn't take their call, this is that. If someone calls you, and they says, I go with FEMA, can you tell us your FEMA registration number? Can you tell us your social security number? Right off the bat, I would question it, okay?
Hang up.
I would question it. I would call FEMA helpline to verify, right? What I tell survivors is that if another way around this is if you don't trust the person on the other end of the line, memorize the last 4 digits of your FEMA registration number and ask them, hey, what's the last 4 digits of my FEMA registration number? And if they're able to spew that off, you can generally trust them. But again, if they immediately ask you for what's your phone number, and they're the ones calling you, I would question that. And then you are going to have some door-to-door solicitors saying, we will help you for X% of your recovery costs, 10%, 20%, 30%. Please don't accept those. Please try to find free resources. There are free resources everywhere.
Door-to-door soliciting on Sanibel is illegal.
Door-to-door soliciting on Sanibel Island is illegal. So, anyone doing that, don't trust.
Can I just make a comment? Because I do know that there have been legitimate FEMA representatives that are on the island with their badge that have gone out. So I just want to say that with a caution, there are legitimate FEMA people out with their badges.
Thank you for stating that. And yes,
That's the mayor.
Oh, hi. There are legitimate FEMA representatives. They'll be called FEMA Volunteer Agency Liaisons. And they are going door to door. They're trying to help make sure as many survivors as possible have applied to FEMA. And they're assessing damages. They're seeing if you need help with appeals. And sometimes those FEMA Volunteer Agency Liaisons call us at SBP saying, hey, and I've had that in a few other counties, saying, hey Claire, can you guys help? Because FEMA does not write the appeals for you. FEMA will tell you how to write an appeal, but we do the appeals for you, make it so much easier, and it's more guaranteed to go and be awarded. Let me just state, our program started the end of last year after we read a Washington Post article that stated between the years of 2017 and 2020, over 66% of survivors were denied any assistance from FEMA. In the beginning months of 2021, 87% of survivors were denied assistance. Only 4% of survivors appeal. We have helped over 300 survivors access more than $1.28 million in additional funding, which means these immediate denials don't mean you are not qualified for assistance. It just means there's something additional that FEMA needs, or FEMA's inspectors incorrectly assessed the damages to your homes on the onset. So we need to appeal. You need to appeal, not just for your own recovery, but for Sanibel's recovery, because FEMA provides funds, and then Housing and Urban Development provides something called a Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Fund. This is long-term money, right, to help after 2 years, 3 years down the line, right, to help bring your community back to life. If you don't appeal FEMA, that means the HUD money, those CDBG-DR funds, are going to be a lot less. your community's gonna have that much harder time recovering because you're not gonna be provided with the funds that you need, that you could have otherwise if you appealed. So I need you to appeal for yourself and for your community. I think she was.
So I have a situation where I have a house out here and I have a house in town. My husband and I have quite a few children, adult children at this point. So my daughter was living out here. She did not pay me rent, but it was considered a rental home because she didn't own the home. So I've been referred to an SBA loan and denied by FEMA because of that. But on her situation, she lived out here, she worked as a server at a restaurant, lost her car, lost her job, lost her everything, you know. So, but her car, she came in town, so her car was technically at my house in town, which was flooded, and she lost her car in town. So she had liability, but you said there's a potential that she could get it covered because she's been denied any coverage, and her car's just gone. You know, it's just sitting there right now. So she can appeal.
So I want you to come to me. I don't know how, this is gonna be a tricky situation. So, yes, you appeal. Let me just restate this for everyone who couldn't hear. She has a home in Lee County in town. She has another home here in Sanibel. Her daughter was renting out the home in Sanibel, not paying rent, but, you know, she's a great mom. But the daughter's here. Both homes were flooded. Daughter's car was at her house in town, because she's left Sanibel during the disaster, thankfully. But her vehicle was damaged and all property in Sanibel was damaged. Now, in this situation, because she's a renter, she can apply for other needs assistance for personal property, transportation, moving, and storage, medical, dental, childcare, all those things, right? She will not be able to get rental assistance to fix the home. You will not be able to get rental assistance to fix the home. Yes, you will have to apply to the SBA for a loan to see if you could qualify as a landlord. You might or you might not. I can't guarantee that. But she can get personal property. Now, the fact that she was at your home at the time Ian hit and her car was damaged there, we can have you write a letter within the appeal stating that her vehicle was at your property, which was also flooded at the time of the disaster. So I want you to come up and we'll work with you on this one because it's a lot of moving parts here. Not an easy appeal, but we'll get you taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
If you do an appeal, don't expect to hear from FEMA. You've got to call after the 10 days that it takes to upload it, and you need to talk to a Tier 2 representative only. They're the ones that can do that.
So, great question, great comment. So, if you do an appeal on your own and you do not do an appeal through us, SBP, because we're tracking these appeals constantly, we are on top of it. If you're doing an appeal on your own, after 10 days, reach out to FEMA, make sure they received it. FEMA's not organized. Okay? Make sure they received it. It's going to take up to 90 days for FEMA to respond. Sometimes it takes longer than 90 days for FEMA to respond. You just definitely want an advocate on your side on the inside of FEMA, so if things have not moved forward, you can also, if you've already applied for an appeal, if you've already started an appeal, it's with FEMA, and you're like, well, I don't necessarily need your help right now, Claire, but I'm still waiting. We can help you. We can try to push things forward, right? When you speak to FEMA on your specific cases, if it's not something as simple as updating some information, like updating your address, updating your contact information, definitely request for a Tier 1 or Tier 2 representative because they have the greater knowledge, right? With that, it might take longer to reach them. The wait times for Tier 1, Tier 2 representatives can be up to 50 minutes. I've heard recently when I've tried speaking to them. That's why having a FEMA volunteer agency liaison is so great for my organization, because we can skip all that and just ask our valves for that specific information that we need. But great, thank you for those comments.
Also, if you go to Bass Road, there's a lady there, her name is Judy. And that room is full of a bunch of, like you described, people that it's like day one for them, and they're there to help you. But Judy's a seasoned veteran. Every time we went there, we've been there 6 times, 4 times, nothing. 2 times to Judy, we got results.
There's also a Judy on Bass Road who can help you. Utilize whatever resource you have.
We called her our Christmas angel.
Judy's their Christmas angel. Utilize whatever free resources available. You need help. You guys are not only trying to recover, but you're working. You're getting ready for the holidays, if that's at all possible. You're trying to rebuild your home. The last thing you want to do is spend hours and hours of your day or week dealing with FEMA, dealing with the SBA, dealing with your insurance. So utilize resources available to you. Utilize organizations and people who are available to you to help you in that process, to help your mental and emotional and physical exhaustion, right? I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I'm also going to include in my little email, again, if you've not already signed up, sign up. I'm also going to include some free resources for emotional support. If you need to talk to anybody, you know, what you guys have gone through is a lot. So please take care of yourselves and utilize resources available to you to help you in your recovery. So another hand up.
Yeah, this is just a very basic issue. The rumors are going around that FEMA's trucks will stop picking up debris as of the 15th of the month. Is that true?
No.
The mayor says no.
It's not true.
The mayor says no.
Okay,
So
there.
the question was, FEMA trucks are going to
And
stop
how
on 15th
long
of the
will
month.
they be on island, is the question.
I will just briefly, if you don't mind. So sometimes you're seeing on the news things that are happening across the bridge. So in those areas, they might have deadlines. At this point, we do not have a deadline. We have debris to pick up, and that will be determined at the point where we don't think that those have to be coming anymore. So please make sure you push it to the curb as close as you can. The white goods are gonna take a little bit longer, but there is no end time at this point. We'll let you know well in advance when we think that we're getting there. They're over 85% of the cleanup, and they're well ahead of the schedule that we thought they would originally be on. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And that's Crowder Gulf. That is our contractors. It's not the FEMA. It is our contracted hauler, Crowder Gulf.
Relaying what the mayor stated is that debris cleanup is still ongoing. Do not worry about what you're hearing on the other side of the causeway. Here in Sanibel Island, debris cleanup still ongoing, and you will hear from the mayor and other officials when that will end.
Yes, how can we get this recording and share it with people that were unable to attend?
So, a question was asked how you can get the recording and share it. The Recreation Center is going to have a copy of the recording. So if you call into the Recreation Center, they will be able to provide that to
Okay.
you.
And then I had 2 questions. So my other question is I have a friend who snowbirds. She's a waitress renting property. So she was snowbirding in Delaware. Her house was completely flooded. She lost everything. What are her options as far as contents, the reimbursement, waitressing, and obviously she normally would be back here by now, which she can't because she has no home.
The question that was asked was about snowbirds, and I know a lot of people know snowbirds, especially here in Florida. And the question is, can FEMA assist those snowbirds when they didn't make it out in time because Ian hit, right? This is a tricky situation. situation, FEMA wants to make sure that you've been living in your home the majority of the year, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Utilities are on. If we can prove that you were residing in the home, it's gonna be a tricky situation. She can reach out to us and we can try to navigate that. I can't guarantee that FEMA will provide assistance, because you do need to be occupying your home at the time of the disaster. But we can try to help.
Right, she had a roommate occupying it, so
Okay.
her roommate was there, since she leaves for 2 months, when it, to work up north for a couple months, so she's, okay.
So if someone was living in the home at the time of the disaster, her
Yeah.
roommate, then FEMA should be able to help with personal
Yeah,
property.
he was actually in it during.
Have her talk to us and we will help with
Okay.
that.
So if you have gotten some money from FEMA, they've sent you over the SBA, so you go through the whole SBA process. Is that your bite of the apple? Is that your chance to get grant money from them done? Have your means, they must have means tested you if you're sitting in SBA. So can, say, for housing allowance and money like that, is that done once you get pushed over, or can you have another bite of the apple?
So he asked, once you've applied to FEMA, you've heard from FEMA to tell you to go over to the SBA, does that mean you can try to apply for things, or appeal? So, yes. Apply to FEMA. Even if they deny you, appeal FEMA unless you've received more funds than $37,900 from your insurance company, and you're covered on all your bases, including rental assistance, personal property, everything, right? Apply to FEMA, appeal FEMA. Once you're sent over to the SBA, you can still receive home repair assistance from FEMA. You can receive rental assistance from FEMA. You can receive medical, dental, childcare, funeral costs, et cetera, within other needs from FEMA, despite not yet having a response from the SBA. Okay? Did that answer your question?
And if you have a response from the SBA, you're now SBA, and FEMA's in the rearview mirror?
And if you receive a response from the SBA and the SBA says you're approved, you can still receive home repair, rental assistance, childcare, medical, dental, et cetera, from FEMA. You just will not receive from FEMA personal property, transportation, moving and storage. That's it. Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions before we wrap up? And we can also talk individually if you guys want to talk to me on a more private level. All right, well, thank you for attending. I hope this is helpful. when you're not in a disaster situation,
Yes.